We're not quite ESPN, but we'll do our best to act like it. Welcome back to the Bergstrom Court on the campus of Minnehaha Academy. We've got high school boys basketball coming your way with the Minnehaha Academy Redhawks coming off a big weekend series and the Edina Hornets. I'm Mike Peden, she is Stephanie Blanda. And Stephanie, you've followed this Minnehaha team for the last several years. You were at the atmospheric event that was the win over Sierra Canyon. Redhawks 9-2, coming off a big win over Breck. It took them a little while to get going, but this Minnehaha team, maybe the most recognizable in team history for boys basketball.
I'm going to go ahead and say yes on that one. Over 17,000 fans at the Target Center watching them play Sierra Canyon. Real great atmosphere. Huge.
That was big. They averaged more than what the Timberwolves get. Now, granted, the Wolves have 41 home dates. Edina, they're playing without their top player. And Minnehaha, we should note as well, no Chet Holmgren. He's out with the flu. So these two teams are a little short-handed. So that's going to open the door for...
Short-handed is right. Chet's real tall.
I see what you did there. Yes, he is
I'm going to have
tall.
to go ahead and probably not expect as many on my block count tonight.
No, that could open the lane up, though, for Edina, not having to worry about Chet Holmgren. Now, Breck, not at the same level as Minnehaha, so the score may not surprise you all that much. But this is the first time we've covered the Redhawks since the arrival of the Miller brothers, Hersey and Mercy. Percy Miller, one of the starters, and Chandler Centel told me beforehand, the Millers, Hersey, really humble. They got along right away with the rest of the team. And it's almost as if the Millers have been playing with the Redhawks for years. And there is Hersey Miller, number 15.
Yeah, it definitely, watching them and versus last year, they kind of fit right in. They've adapted really well to the team chemistry and everything that they've got going on. Good energy.
And if you're watching this, you probably know who their father is, but you
Make
would
him
never
say,
know
"Oh."
it. Right. You never know it. Yes. You would never know it based on their attitude toward the game. Edina unable to get on the board. There's Miller with the rebound.
Well, we've got the nervousness of the air ball out of the way.
A drive
Edina
and a
scores
score.
first.
That's Brady Helgren. Minnehaha with the transition play. Prince Aligbe scores.
Yeah, Prince.
Steal by Jalen Suggs.
Behind the back. Easy layup.
You know the Redhawks, they love to go into showtime mode.
Ain't nothing like some showtime.
Well, they've got the skills to do it.
You know, Mike, you only live once. That's the motto. YOLO.
YOLO. That's right. You're up.
It's a second steal.
There's Jalen. Lost it. I forgot you're in the know when it comes to all of the social media hashtags.
Am I?
I don't know. From what I've seen out of Instagram, especially during volleyball season.
Just to be clear, I'm not a millennial.
Well, neither am I. Here's Sammy Prestis wearing number 55 instead of number 14.
You do have to use those picks. I just heard somebody in the audience say that. Gone on you with the pick and roll.
One of several 4A teams Minnehaha is facing in-state. And Edina throws it away. I was told it took them a little while to get going in the Breck win yesterday because you're coming off that big win over Sierra Canyon. You had two games back-to-back on ESPN, Park Center and Sierra Canyon. You go from 17,000 at the Target Center back to your normal confines and...
Normal confines.
And they needed to be reminded of that there are no guarantees. You can't take a game off even if Breck isn't at your level. That's going to be a foul on Sammy Prestis. I know you laugh because with Minnehaha and all the attention they've received this year, it seems crazy to say normal confines, but...
Well, it makes it feel like some sort of jail cell. Which it is not.
No.
But this is definitely not as much of a crowd as I've seen the last.
Well, you're not going to put
games.
17,000 in here.
No, they wouldn't fit.
Minnehaha looking for the steal, and that pressure defense rattling Edina a little bit.
Oh.
Brady Helgren can't put it down.
Great play, though.
And Jalen Suggs scores in transition. I was wondering if his childhood buddy, Bria, was going to be here. Then I forgot there's a North Tartan doubleheader going on tonight.
We think she's at that game?
Possibly.
Could be.
She is a North St. Paul kid, after all. You would know. 16-footer goes down for Semi Prestis. I had a little fun with Bria, actually, when we called the Minnehaha North St. Paul game.
Did you?
Well, yes. It was the one time she rooted for Minnehaha Academy over her school.
I think she's got strong ties to this. I'm not sure. Well, I know that you know this, but her dad, big part of grassroots hoops, grassroots sizzle. That's his thing. And a lot of the Minnehaha kids have gone through that program. And AAU, any type of club team, it's just such a huge impact on how that high school season goes.
Rebound and the putback for Bastian Swinney.
We have a tie game. Everybody's getting their bearings.
We should point out I'm talking about Bria Sandifer, who will probably find a college to play for at some point.
I sure hope so. Co-MVP this year of the North St. Paul volleyball team.
Miller, no good, but he puts back his own miss.
And he's redeemed himself. You know, Mike, I was thinking about, you said we're not ESPN, and I'm kind of convinced it's because, ooh, so open down there.
And then a late foul.
And one.
The double whammy, as I call it. Double whammy, no big bucks, if you get the reference.
No.
You don't. It was from your era, or you would have been around for Press Your Luck.
I don't even know what that is. Is that a movie?
Game show? It was a game show.
Oh,
Big
okay,
bucks, no
okay,
whammies.
Okay. You have a lot more time with the TV maybe than I do.
It's not so much time with TV. It's just, as you pointed out, I remember almost everything. I just research stuff.
Funny.
But you were saying we're not quite ESPN. What was your story?
I think I finally figured it out, Mike. I'm not sure if you saw the guys who are covering the game, but they've got a little more flow than you do. I think it's the hair.
When you said flow, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I see what you did.
Yeah.
I do call myself the young Jean-Luc Picard.
Okay. Oh. All right, good steal.
That's Caden Johnson.
On the steal scorecard.
3-ball.
Oh.
Nothing there. And a hard foul.
That was aggressive.
And I heard one of the younger
That might
fans
leave a
yell,
mark.
that's a foul. That is a foul.
Ooh, he's 2 already.
So Prestis will head to the bench early. That's Demarion Watson Salisbury. Say that 5 times fast.
Say it 5 times fast, I dare you.
I would scare off my audience if I did.
All right.
There's Jalen Suggs. He's got a couple of younger sisters, one playing varsity for the Redhawk girls team. Jalen looking for a little sidestep switch. Jalen has officially committed to Gonzaga, although if you follow the ESPN broadcast, they did note he is considering a potential overseas route to play professionally for a year before he would be cleared to participate in the NBA.
Oh, look at that save. Yeah, that's a big decision.
Jalen will shoot 2.
Swinney.
Jalen with a highly storied career. He'll go down as one of the biggest names in prep basketball.
Yeah, that's no joke. And if you follow, well, you're on social media now a little bit more of it. Jalen and Chet have more Instagram followers than a lot of pro athletes. I mean, on the gram, they're definitely big time. They're big time on the court too, but they have a lot of eyes on them, a lot of coverage. They're used to the media game, that's for sure.
Well, in the case of Chet Holmgren, his profile went up significantly. It's unfortunate he's unable to play tonight because I can't really talk too much about this, but when he crossed up Steph Curry at his own camp.
And you wouldn't expect that from a 7-footer. The ball handling.
Marcus Crawford drains the three, but that's where the game.
But net.
That's where the game is going. The stretch four. We talk about that all the time. Your big men, your big women, they're ball handlers now. They're not just bruisers down low. It's not like your playing days when you had Jesse Stonsky anchoring the paint. You could just feed her the ball half the time.
There was a lot of feeding. A lot of feeding.
You probably racked up a ton of assists.
Actually, yes. Most assists, most steals.
You still hold those records?
No, you know what? I'll check into that and let you know.
Over at Tartan. Yes, your compadre just turned 40.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about ages on this show.
I'm not getting younger either. 11-11 is our score. Edina showing their grit so far.
Oh.
There's Minnehaha bringing that pressure up top. Steal by Chase Carter, the kick out, and Minnehaha throws it away. That was Isaiah Davis, I should say.
Okay, that's why that was confusing.
Chase Carter, though, transferred this year. The Millers came in mid-December. Edina. You don't hear as much about them in basketball, and part of it is the section they play in. They are in one of the most loaded sections year in and year out. Landon Glenna drains the three from the top of the key. Edina's section foes regularly include Chaska, Prior Lake, where Dawson Garcia is, Eden Prairie, the top team in 4A. And historically, Section 2, Shakopee in the mix. You've got 4 or 5 good teams that can all get out of there. So it's hard for a team like Edina to break through because they've got to go through a murderer's row of opponents. Likewise, Minnehaha, even though they are heavy favorites to win in 3A, they moved up to 3A, and Totino Grace, number 4 in Class 3A. If those two meet in the section final, that could be a sleeper matchup. Free throws coming. That is Chase Carter. Number 11, the younger son and younger brother of Kahari Carter, who won a state title with this Redhawks team back in 2013. Randy, a longtime figure on the coaching staff for the Redhawks. And older basketball fans would remember him from his time at the Gophers.
It's a great piece of information.
Carter splits at the line. Rebound, Prince Aligbe. 3 on the way. Bullseye. Donovan Smith.
He was ready for that.
And the Redhawks retake the lead. 15-14. 3 ball. Miles Harrell can't knock it down from the corner. $10:20 left in the first half.
Redhawks up by 1.
Jalen Suggs lost it. Minnehaha, they've been making a couple of big saves. I know it's early, but you like to see them recover. And that's, I think, twice now where a broken play turned into a pair. Harrell. Oh,
man. All right.
Well, Harrell had the right idea.
No, that was a great idea. That looked so good. He just needed his teammate to kind of
I was going to
trust and go.
He had the right idea.
You
Marcus
always
Crawford.
got to be paying attention.
Marcus
God, that was
Crawford didn't
smooth.
realize what he was doing.
So smooth.
I think everyone but Marcus Crawford was prepared for that one.
I like that, Harold.
We've got, oh, that's right. I forget, at the Bergstrom Court, they play a lot of throwback tunes.
Sing along, Mike.
This is your
Hey.
I was also going to say Minnehaha Academy. Apparently, fluorescent is the theme tonight. If you look at their footwear, I think I see 3 or 4 fluorescent green kicks.
It's almost like there's a highlighter on the court.
It
you know,
is.
last time I was here, they had a DJ over in that corner.
And
Although
I
that was a Saturday night game, so
Okay, was that on Alaska?
yes.
That was the on-Alaska game. That was a big one on Alaska.
That was a big one.
One of the top teams in Wisconsin. Minnehaha got a big win. The crowd for that almost rivaled what we saw when they played Park Center.
All right, I'm going to make you think for a second.
That's not a good idea. Step back move. Banking it in is Donovan
Off
Smith.
the glass.
You don't want to make me think because that's when I go into my fountain of trivia. Do you want to take that risk?
Hold up now. Was that a 2 or a 3?
That was a 2.
Okay.
Donovan Smith up to 5. Redhawks have scored 7. Seven in a row, I should point out. Harrell, nothing doing down low. Aligbe with the board, and he turns on the accelerator.
Oh!
Isaiah Davis, elevation
First
and the slam.
dunk of the game.
Chet
That
Holmgren gets
adds
those.
some excitement.
Right, Chet Holmgren gets those with regularity, but the other guys,
Well, I mean,
they've got
he
hops.
pretty much all he has to do is raise his hand up.
That's
I don't
a
even know
foul.
if he has to get off the ground for it.
Brady Helgrim will shoot 2. Now, what did you want to make me think about?
Okay, hold up. Let's go back to. I just want to say Harrell, for the 5'10" that he is on the court, really moves smoothly through those big guys. Edina's Harrell. I almost wonder if having the highlighter shoes is a slight disadvantage. The reason I say that is because you can always kind of catch it out of the corner of your eye when you're moving by somebody. Think about that for a second. They look good though. 2 for 2.
You know what? You should
You
use that
understand
strategy.
you understand
Yes.
what I'm saying, right?
And you know what? I sense an opportunity. You should have
What's
the
that?
North St. Paul players wear highlighter
No, but
shoes.
I don't want people to know where they're going. It's almost like it makes you can see easier where the highlighter shoes are moving. I want to be
Yes,
able
but
to
they'll
swiftly
be so
move by
distracted
somebody.
by that splash of color that
Oh,
Mina Yenner next year, or I forget who else is coming back, they can get themselves in position to get kills. Well, the PA announcer got it right. The bank is open. Everybody using it. I've often said early in my career, the backboard is there for a reason. Might as well use it.
They even put a square on it for you.
That's a walk on a league bay.
Well, travel is a call you don't see much more in basketball. It's always kind of fun to throw that in there.
You do see it on occasion, but I was here Friday for the Minnehaha Providence Academy girls game, and there were a couple of plays where I think Mia Curtis got away with the travel.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, it's not always called.
They were tight on that stuff back in the day.
Minnehaha on the run, and Hersey Miller will shoot free throws. Chandler Santel, one of the assistant coaches, told me the Millers are often the first to enter the gym. They often bug Chandler or the other coaches to get in, and right after the Sierra Canyon game, their father said, we celebrate for one day. After that, you move on to the next game, the next task.
Yeah, it's big stuff. Look forward. Great attitude, good hustle, good work ethic. But a lot of that is because of the love of the game. I mean, I remember playing at the park for hours during the summer, and when it started to get dark, somebody would pull up their car and turn on the lights because we didn't want to leave.
And there's family history in this sport.
Mm-hmm.
Hersey and Mercy, their father
Yeah.
had a lot of involvement with basketball. I think he had a pro deal for a time. Even though we know him as a musician.
Well-rounded individual.
Right.
Hey, athletics and music, creativity, all hand in hand.
Scramble for the ball, won by Minnehaha.
Ooh, almost.
Right idea, pass just a little off. Well, when the Millers moved here, there have been a few stories, unsurprisingly, and in the city pages, Percy, the patriarch, was quoted as saying, if my kids are going to play, they got to keep their grades up, they got to get after it.
He's got the right. Oh no.
Prince Saligbe, that dunk will be on Instagram in a few minutes.
It better be.
And I say that because every time, I always say you can tell where Minnehaha is shooting. Just look at the baseline for all the camera guys.
I see a few down there. That was pretty money.
Overtime, they've been following the Redhawks.
Yeah, there's a lot of good content. I mean, if you're searching, you're going to find pretty much anything you're looking for content-wise on Minnehaha.
Makes you wonder, why are we even here?
I have no idea, Mike. Just to entertain ourselves. Oh!
Prince Saligbe.
Oh, jersey tug.
That.
You don't do that.
Intentional. I saw the signal for intentional foul. And that was intentional. When you grab the jersey like that,
yeah,
that is the basketball equivalent of holding.
I mean,
so 2 free throws and the ball for Minnehaha.
That was real obvious. I almost wonder. Just didn't want to get dunked on, I think.
Didn't want to get posterized. Prince Saligbe. And for all the talk we've had about the Millers and Chet and Jalen, Prince Saligbe.
Oh no, he's a phenomenal player. He is right up there.
Started as an 8th grader, and he's has built up a nice profile for himself too. I remember he and Trey Holloman had quite the battle as 8th graders when Minnehaha and Minneapolis North had their annual series, and the two went at it again at the Tip-Off Classic when Cretan-Durham Hall got a big win over Minnehaha Academy.
Yeah, I think that we need to make a note that he's only a 10th grader for people who don't know that.
Right, so this Redhawks team, I'll be curious to see what kind of following they get when Jalen moves on.
Oh, they're still going to be.
They still have Chet.
In fuego.
Right.
I think that 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 game is going to be scheduled for next year again. The
Sierra Canyon.
Yeah, I believe so. They're going to be just as strong. I mean, that's huge shoes to fill with Jalen, and huge leadership and personality. But this team will still be strong next year. Nice pass. Oh!
Saligbe with a nice block. Edina ball.
That came probably straight from a Chet signal.
To your point, one of my colleagues, the Hoop Czar as he calls himself.
The what?
The Hoop Czar. Kevin, TC
yeah.
Hoop Czar.
Great name.
He follows boys basketball heavily, and he said that environment, the Sierra Canyon game, could be the spark that maybe brings back the Timberwolves shootout, because that weekend event was held on what historically is the same day as that Timberwolves shootout used to be. The Timberwolves shootout, that's when they would invite several teams outside the state to come in and play at Target Center against some of the top boys teams in Minnesota. Okay. And it was quite the show.
A little behind the back. Oh, no.
Look out.
Oh! Da-da-da-dunk.
And no one to grab his jersey that time. Caden Johnson raising the roof. That's the best kind. And a fitting song, because that dunk eliciting some sweet emotions from the Red Hawk faithful. In fact, the fans are getting into it.
Great tunes in this gym.
6:07 left in the first half. Minnehaha up 29-19. Stephanie, you've seen this team over the years. You've had that connection through Bria Sandifer and her dad with Grassroots Hoops. What impresses you the most about what Minnehaha has done, winning 3 titles in a row and building the program to what it is now?
I think that what's most impressive is everybody's commitment and work ethic and drive. There's a lot of energy on that team, and you can see it every time that they're on the court.
And humility, a big part of that as well. Going back to the Millers, they get after it. They want to play the right way. Jalen Suggs, the coaching staff, they praise his work ethic, his determination. You know, he can play to the crowd sometimes, but he is quite the leader of this team.
There's just a lot of personality, and it makes a huge difference. Ooh, swish.
Fahad Omar with the the corner three. Edina needed that bucket. That will stay Minnehaha ball. And I mentioned this the last time I saw the Redhawks when they played North St. Paul. Wish you could have been there. But
just making sure my microphone's
it is on. I made sure to get ones without switches. Okay. But in the era of specialization, you have a lot of crossover athletes. In fact, you have 2 D1 football commits on the Redhawks roster.
I have said this before, probably every time we've been together, and I feel like we talk about it.
And you'll say it again, right?
Well, there's just that element of cross-training that can't be duplicated by just doing one sport. And it just, your awareness, your senses about everything, there really is a difference.
Foul before the shot, 1-on-1 situation for Terry Lockett, who will play at Michigan State. Caden Johnson will be a future rival of his. He is going to Wisconsin. And we're not just talking run-of-the-mill. We're talking 2 storied programs in Wisconsin and Michigan State. And as you alluded to, Lake Bay has a bright future. Chet Holmgren, I'm sure he will be recruited heavily. You've got the Millers now. A lot of history with this school. It started with that 2013 state title. Omar for 3 short. And it took them a few years to rebuild their ranks, but Jalen Suggs came in. I'll never forget seeing him make threes from Steph Curry range, and the coaching staff told me when that first happened, they're going, "What are you doing?" And then it goes in, and a few years later, everybody knows now what Jalen knew back then, that he could play. Deep 3, no good. Rebound Swinney, and that's a foul on a Lake Bay.
So I think we should go back to what Mr. Master P said. I love that he's encouraging and putting out the message that school comes first with all of this. Train your brain, man. Train your brain.
Jump ball. Edina with the arrow. And that's a good attitude to have, because there can be a lot of pressure when you're the offspring of someone famous. That's a turnover on the Hornets. We've seen that out of Sierra Canyon with Zaire Wade and Bronny James. They get crowds of 15,000 plus easily.
Oh, they have security.
Everybody wants to see if Bronny's going to be the next LeBron. And if you took away who his father was, I do wonder what kind of following he would get. But that's just the way the culture is with basketball.
Correct.
It's a lot of pressure to put on a 15-year-old kid. Now, I'm sure Bronny James will have a solid future, as Minnehaha used up their last foul to give. He got the game winner against his father's alma mater, St. Vincent St. Mary's. But he's 15, he's a freshman, he's got a lot of time to grow.
He does, and he didn't get a lot of he got some minutes, but he didn't get a lot of minutes.
And that's what I think surprised a lot of folks.
I think they were expecting.
Right, they wanted to see more Bronny, but that team, the Sierra Canyon team, that's a foul on number 3, Chandler Reek. They had a couple of nationally ranked D1 commits play ahead of Zaire Wade and Bronny James. So that was another deep team.
It is a very deep team.
Against the deep team in Minnehaha. And there's Terry Lockett, the Michigan State football commit. And a lot of these guys played on the SMB co-op team that won a couple of state titles. Jalen Suggs was the quarterback. Crawford feeds it inside, and scoring the layup is Bastian Swinney. Edina, they're doing their best to hang around here in the first half, just when it looks like Minnehaha is going to build some separation. Here's Lockett. Went to a prep school before he came back, and he drains the runner.
So smooth. Smooth like butter.
You could say Lockett was on a roll. Chandler Reek missed the three. Offensive rebound and the putback for Brady Helgren. And Helgren, one of the leading scorers outside of Jacob Hudson. Helgren has 8. And Caden Johnson works his way inside to lay it in. High-low. Caden Johnson came up with the block. And Isaiah Davis scores on the other end. Minnehaha's transition offense, one of the toughest to neutralize. 3 on the way. Fahad Omar knocks it down. That's his second triple.
He is not nervous about shooting those.
It's not uncommon for teams to have a bunch of perimeter shooters these days.
Right. Much more common.
Well, look at Steph Curry, James Harden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how the game has evolved in that direction.
Players often emulate what they see, and when the Warriors were the talk of the town in the NBA with the pace and space and the three-point shooting, it illustrated the value of the three-point shot. So you see a lot more teams going to that. Of course, this Redhawks team, they can score anywhere. Suggs to Miller, he fakes the three, drives instead, and they'll count it. Percy Miller got the friendly Plinko bounce.
Okay, I got that one.
I thought you might. Percy Miller with 6 points. He's fit right in with this Redhawks team.
Percy Miller, a 6'3" guard.
No three-point play. Miller averaging 10 points per game. He hasn't played all that much, but already an integral part of Minnehaha's offense. Bounce pass. Marcus Crawford feeding inside to Bastian Swinney, and he's fouled. 1-1 for Bastian Swinney.
I'm really digging on Omar's game from Edina. He's got some spunk, some moves.
Swinney averaging 7.6 points per game. Edina, just one bad loss. They suffered a blowout against Eastridge.
What was the score of that one?
84-58. They were close with Chaska, one of the 2-4A perennials. Minnetonka, a team you can't sleep on. Jalen Suggs, 3-ball, corner pocket.
3 from the baseline.
Well, we know Jalen Suggs can score from anywhere. Fahad Omar looking for the answer, can't get it. Miller with the rebound. Aligbe can't catch up to it in time. Redhawks, again, they want to employ the transition attack. Didn't pay off that time. Landon Glenna, cross court.
Oh.
Edina with some good ball movement. Omar with the save.
That's
3
great
ball.
ball movement.
Here we go. Miller. Try the alley-oop to Jalen. And that didn't work out.
All right. I'm just saying, this game is getting a little heated. Can you tell? Can you feel the vibe?
Well, and the coaches told me, anyone who follows Minnehaha tells me they love to show off their fanciness.
Crowd uproar.
The Minnehaha fans want to attack on Joe Berger, the Edina head coach, but the Redhawks, they're confident. and they're not sorry about it. So they love to play up to the crowd, try to get those highlights. More often than not, it works out. At the North St. Paul game, Jalen had the windmill dunk. Prince of Lake Bay had a monster slam.
Monster slam.
He did.
I like that term. Swish.
And the Redhawks, 10 of 13 at the line. 1 minute to go in the first half, 43-29. As Minnehaha building some separation here. And there's a Lake Bay playing Omar, bringing a little token pressure. There he is again. Omar able to get past him.
Nice
Bounce pass. Suggs deflects it into the hands of a Lake Bay. .33 seconds. And Jalen going over to the bench saying one play, so he will run out the clock, as you can do without a shot clock.
In the frog position. Catcher position.
Catcher position.
Quad work.
Although,
Little quad work. Dribble action.
10 seconds. The catcher position. I like that. I like that move by Jalen Suggs. You take the shot and give your teammates a chance for the putback, and as a result, Chase Carter will go to the line for two. That, to me, is the best way to execute a late game or a late half possession.
Is
what you just saw there. Take a shot with a few seconds left. That way, if you don't get it, one of your teammates has a chance to get the rebound and a putback. Because if you wait until it goes all the way to zero, and if Suggs misses the three, you don't get that opportunity. Carter splits at the line. Edina, can they get another shot off? Doesn't look like it. That Minnehaha defense all over Edina. It took them a little while, but they built a 44-29 lead at the half. Stephanie, a lot to talk about on the positive side if you're Minnehaha Academy.
well, they're winning, so yes.
That helps, doesn't it?
It does help, yeah. I think that's, I'm guessing that this second half of this, there's a wider margin.
We'll see. Minnehaha, I think they have a little more pep in their step. We'll find out what happens in the second half when we return. This is high school boys basketball.
Twin Cities Sports Broadcasting, and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves.
Holloman, good if it goes. Yes!
Game winners.
From James. She's in trouble. Finds James. Toss shot! It goes in!
And everything in between.
Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. Let's put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching.
Mike Peden and Stephanie Blanda with you. Minnehaha Academy leads Edina 44-29 at the half. 8 different Redhawk players scored in the first frame, and that balance helped them build a 15-point lead.
Yeah, it is pretty even across the board, isn't it? Now that I'm looking at it. I mean, usually what ends up happening, Suggs has 10. Usually maybe there's a little more of a discrepancy, but I like seeing the evenness of the scoring for all the players who have been in.
And without Chet Holmgren, I wonder if that's by design, because he and Chet are two of the focal points. I mean, any one of them can put up big numbers. And for Edina, Brady Helgren led with 8. Fahad Omar had 6 off the bench with a couple of threes. Again, both teams shorthanded. No Chet Holmgren for Minnehaha and no Jacob Hudson for Edina. Terry Lockett with a nifty reverse move. Now this Redhawks team, what they've done to build up their ranks. There's a lot of alumni who come back. Peter Hambridge was one of them. Graduated from this school in '99, and he told me, going back to his playing days when Minnehaha was in the Tri-Metro, De La Salle, they were the kings of the group back then. To see how far Minnehaha has grown.
Oh, no.
That will not go on the Jalen Suggs highlight reel at the end of the season.
That's the blooper reel. Another steal.
Well, a dunk is not automatic.
It isn't?
No, there is an art to it.
Well,
I mean, there is more to it than folks would expect.
I agree. Not that I was doing it back in the day.
You mean you weren't dunking it? I thought Jesse had the hops to go up there and slam it.
We lowered the hoop a little bit. Oh, another steal.
Well, that's all right. They'll get a few more chances. Well, not there. Jalen Suggs, hesitation.
Driving in. On the left side.
And that will go on the Jalen Suggs highlight reel at the end of the season. But when you're a player of Jalen's caliber, Paige Beckers comes to mind as well for Hopkins. You're going to have a few plays or a few times where you don't get a dunk. You just keep on playing. You play your game and
well, you have
highlights,
to.
Right. Play your game and you'll get your highlights.
It looks a little more exaggerated when it's a missed dunk versus a missed shot. Ooh.
(16-18), 48-29 as Minnehaha looks to go to 10-2 on the year. Hersey Miller.
Oh yeah, back and forth between the legs. Little ball handling.
Foul away from the ball on Semi Prestis. That will be his 4th.
Jeez, racking up the fouls. He's probably got to come out for a hot second there.
And as I've said before, you can tell which side Minnehaha is shooting. Just look at all the cell phone camera guys.
They've relocated.
Yes.
Shoot it.
Aligbe with the offensive rebound. Lockett trying to shake his defender. Jalen Suggs, he's signaling as if he's open. I mean, he is. Now he fires. Bullseye.
Suggs from Spokane.
Suggs from Spokane.
That was pretty.
Maybe St. Cloud. I'm not quite sure about Spokane. Omar for 3, no good. But I like that play. Suggs was calling for it. Might have drawn Edina away. They used Aligbe to set up that play. And there's Caden Johnson with the layup. Timeout Edina. Redhawks with a 9-0 run to start the second half. And this game...
Yeah, it was about time for a timeout.
This game taking form of yesterday when they had a slow start with Breck and then ran away in the second half. Minnehaha Academy looking ahead. They have a pair of big games next weekend. Whether or not they'll get them in due to
Now, is the next
incoming
weekend
snow.
out of town?
Yes.
Okay.
So they have a doubleheader scheduled with Caledonia. Again, we'll have to see what the weather, what happens with the weather, and then they'll play Madison La Follette at the La Crosse Civic Center. But again, they're going into Wisconsin where the snowstorm is expected to linger Friday into Saturday. So the status of those games, a little uncertain at this point. They will then play Waseca on the road on January 25th. They'll have another Wisconsin team, La Crosse Central, at the Minnesota-Wisconsin border battle. They'll have a doubleheader with St. Peter and St. Louis Park. They play Hibbing, Eden Prairie, De La Salle. So you look at the remainder of the schedule, They only play the conference teams once, and the rest of their schedule just loaded with the top teams from Minnesota and Wisconsin.
You know what I took away from all of that, Mike, is that you still have the plastic wrap on your clipboard.
I can't get it off.
Okay, so big schedule ahead of them. Could be some issues with the snowstorm, but maybe not. Big weekend in Wisconsin.
I see your emphasis is on plastic wrap. Well, if it's any consolation, next weekend falls on Martin Luther King Day, so they'll have an extra day
to
get back
can
or
walk
play
if they
any
need to.
makeups.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens there. Of course, MLK Day, a big day here for basketball around the state. 3 ball. Nothing doing for Edina.
Oh, look at that
Suggs
toss.
to Lake Bay.
Little off the foot action. Way to see down the court.
14:45 left in the second half.
Redhawks up by 24.
Omar for 3.
Ooh, that's 2 air balls in a row.
Hersey Miller throws it down.
Oh. Raise the roof, raise the roof.
In case any of you were wondering, Hersey Miller has hops.
I'd say so.
Edina trying to get on the board. They have not scored in the second half. And Minnehaha putting on a show. Jalen Suggs feeling it. 18 points for Jalen, and
The Redhawks are
the
just
route is
kinda
on.
pulling away.
A 14-0 run to start the second half.
Another steal.
This ought to be fun. Or not.
I'm not laughing. You can see the you can see the just frustration in his face.
It's the second time where he's gone for
God,
the
it
posterization.
looked like it was going to be so good. All right, next one's the charm.
Next one's going in.
Shoot.
Well, it's basketball
My
fans.
laugh was more, I know what that feels like. Not on the dunk, on other things.
Well, I could see as a volleyball, basketball player, you've got a golden opportunity, a wide open lane
Yeah.
to slam it
you
in
just
volleyball.
messed something up.
Right, or
Listen,
you
I'm
had
the
Jesse.
first person to admit that most of basketball is reactive, right? You're moving, oh yeah, get up there.
And that
Johnson with
illustrates
the
the importance of having a trailer. Caden Johnson with the layup. But
rebound.
you're
Gosh.
right.
Yeah, you need that for sure.
You're right. Volleyball, no different.
Okay, yeah, most of the game is a reactive game, right?
Fahad
Nice
Omar
shot.
drains the 3.
Listen, I mean, Omar's on fire. I'd get the ball to Omar a little bit more.
That's the first basket Edina has scored in this half. Hersey Miller on the drive. He'll stay here.
Okay, back to reactive, non-reactive.
Yes.
So when you don't have to think, when the game is moving, I mean, obviously you're thinking, but it's quick thinking. A lot of people find that easier than the non-reactive part where you're standing there, everybody's staring at you, you're about to shoot a free throw, right? Or that happens a lot of times, volleyball on the service line, because that's the only non-reactive part of that game. I shot an air ball at the state tournament from the free throw line because I was so nervous. I'm
That's
laughing
right.
at it
You got to play in one of them for Tartan.
now.
97, I think it was.
I'm just saying that stuff happens. No, 95.
95.
Oh, 24. Get out of
That
my
was
zone.
Helgren with the block. Omar was calling for
Oh,
it.
yeah, my other guy, Harold's in.
95. I was 8.
I'm officially older than you. But we're not supposed to talk about age. All right, nice move.
Brady Helgren scoring. Off the
Helgren
skip.
keeping Edina alive.
Helgren up to 10. Well, Edina scored a couple of times now.
Did
and
you see that pass?
I did see that pass.
That was beautiful.
And I saw that foul, too, that will send Caden Johnson to the line.
All right, Lockett with the pass game.
This is what makes Minnehaha so tough to defend. They're passing, they're shooting more often than not. Right.
It really is a float. You have to know your team to be able to do that, right?
Their only 2 losses came against 4A teams, and top-ranked ones at that, Creighton, Durham Hall, and Hopkins.
What is Creighton ranked?
They're 3rd right now.
Okay. And Hopkins?
Hopkins is 8th or 9th, but Hopkins has a lot of history in the
Sure.
sport. Creighton, Durham Hall, they won state a couple years ago, and they are back in the conversation when Javon Hadley transferred from Alameda to Creighton, Durham Hall. You've got Trey Holloman over there. There are a lot of good teams in boys basketball.
Sitting to my left, knowledge of the MSHSL boys basketball encyclopedia of fun.
You should see me when I call a girls' game.
Oh, more extensive knowledge?
Yes. That's probably why I haven't gotten an
Full court press.
gig yet with ESPN.
That's probably
I just-
why what?
I don't have an ESPN gig yet. I spend too much time talking about trivia of the sport.
Oh, another steal.
This is Donovan Smith. He'll take it all the way.
God, nothing like some good defense.
Defense that leads to offense. And that's an unforced error on Edina, but you're speaking of the flow. This is what separates Minnehaha from a lot of other teams. Turning that defense into offense.
Yeah, I guess it does no good if you steal a ball and can't do anything with it.
Well, and they have the athleticism, the speed, all of that. Lockett no good. And when they classed up, they opted just to play their conference teams once to make room for all of the dates they had on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm really not sure that I would try to throw the ball over any of these guys' heads. Just bounce right up and grab it.
It was like trying to go up against Isa Franco on the block, right?
Yeah, she's pretty good.
What we're trying to say,
Aggressive.
in other words, what we're trying to say is usually it wouldn't work out.
Right.
But how about North St. Paul? Bronze medalists?
How about it? How about it?
Never been to state in the sport?
Hey, you know what? The only reason, not the only reason.
I was going to say,
do
you probably
remember
kept them
earlier-
from going to state.
Earlier in the season, you focused in on the banner hanging in our gym and made a comment that there was a empty space where a section title should be. And, you know, I think that
There won't be now.
there won't be now.
Offensive foul on Omar. Go
But
ahead.
when you help us put together our season video, we're going to cut from that to us taping the numbers on this.
I got myself in
stupid
trouble,
thing.
didn't I? I got myself in trouble,
Yeah,
didn't
you
I?
did.
I gave your team some bulletin board material. I
I
remember
mean, we
you
were
posted
already
a story.
determined, but I was like, all right, now, what kind of rip is that?
It wasn't a rip. It was
Well,
just.
you know, it was, well, okay, fine.
I
It's
figured.
factual.
I figured because you would run into the roadblock that was Stillwater the last 2 years, and you probably look at that banner
We've
and
been in a roadblock for the past 7 or 8.
you probably saw the
forever.
banner that was blank. It had
Yeah,
nothing
it's
on
blank.
it
There's nothing on it.
compared to the other sports
There's-
like
there-
boys basketball, and
Oh,
I
they're
bet
not.
you
Nobody
were.
else is winning over there.
I bet you were just as determined. You were eager, just salivating at the opportunity to be the first one. And not only that,
you know,
you got a bronze medal out of it.
I don't care about the first one. It's just about going there.
And you beat Lakeville North and State. So not only did you win a section title, you got to beat a perennial
And Minnetonka.
and Minnetonka for the bronze medal. So you beat 2 perennials, lost
Yeah.
to Wyzetta. They ended up
We
winning
were,
the
we
whole
were a
thing.
little low on sleep on that game. I mean, no, Wyzetta played really well. They're a great team.
If you
we were-
another set or two, I think. If
I
it
think
were
we
best
could
of
have. It would have
7,
been a little closer.
I think it were best of 7, but
Oh yeah, we didn't have the energy for best of 7 that day. I'll tell you that. You know, you get on this. The thing is, for any of these games. Ooh. Oh.
well, look out.
Same team. Shoot it.
That
Yeah.
is. You're getting into this, aren't you?
Oh. No, I like this stuff. It's good. I appreciate
Are you like
good
this
passing.
in volleyball? Are you like this when you're coaching volleyball?
Yeah, but I've been told that I don't look like it because I've been told
You
that I
look
look like I
stoic.
just sit there very calm.
You just
and-
have a very stoic presence about you, like an utter, complete concentration that cannot be disrupted in any way.
I got to feel the game, Mike. I got to feel the game.
Well, Damarian Watson-Salisbury's feeling the transition attack as Minnehaha's up big.
Yeah,
No
Watson,
wonder why
Salisbury.
North St. Paul has been a force in Section 4.
Why
Because
is
you
that?
don't get distracted easily. You have an unbreakable concentration.
I might have a little ADD, but I'm really competitive.
A little ADD.
Nice rebound. All right, they needed that,
That's
Edina.
Brady Helgren. You did
Helgren
give
is
me,
really keeping up his end of the bargain for Edina, I'll tell you.
you did give me a profound piece of advice, though, when I cover volleyball next fall.
What's that?
Well, hang on. I'll get to that in a moment as Edina can't score
Oh.
there.
Pass it out.
Here's Swinney. Hesitation move. Suggs gets in there in time for the block. Okay.
Yeah.
When you told me for those scoring at home that an error is when you do something stupid.
Did I say that?
You did tell me that. It was right before the Simley game.
You sure?
Yes. I was telling you about how I was keeping track unofficially so I could have a better idea of who was doing what, and you said if you're scoring at home, an error is when you do something stupid.
I'm gonna need to replay on that tape.
And I just thought about the
Better
book I
shoot
could
that.
write as Minnehaha fires the three. I just thought about the book that I could write of all the errors I've made. I'm not sure if anyone would go for it. Because if error is when you do something stupid, boy, have I got some stories to tell you.
Well, I guarantee you I have more than you in that category. No, but you're saying, are you into this? I mean, adrenaline, competitiveness. I love good defense. I also love strategy. I like just the way that Minnehaha sees each other in their passing game. It's fun. As a coach, I try not to bring my anxiety into it, which is why I keep a calm demeanor. I don't need to be rubbing that off on anybody.
I don't think you'll have to worry about anxiety with this team. 7:46 to go.
Oh.
Goaltending.
Ooh.
Watson-Salisbury got there just a little bit late. But you can't fault them for the effort. Grant Tully will get credit for the layup there. Well, speaking of getting into it,
Yeah.
my favorite moment from the volleyball season, I think, was Bria Sandifer and those hops of hers getting a couple of kills in the section final, and she's jumping up and down. I thought she was going straight into the ceiling.
That's the highest I've ever seen her jump.
And it surprised me because as mild-mannered as
Ooh,
she
ooh,
is,
ooh, ooh.
that's a foul
That
on
did not look good.
Edina. She's a mild-mannered kid, very calm, cool, just doesn't show a lot to see her have that kind of emotional expression.
Yeah.
Was surprising and amusing, but it was cool to see.
Love to see people having fun with the game.
Well, Minnehaha, they were having a lot of fun earlier, and I have to imagine for these athletes, it's a lot of fun when, of course, when you're winning like this, but to etch the history they've had with Jalen Suggs and his USA Junior National
Oh, yeah.
commitments. I think he's the all-time record holder in points for Minnehaha, and to be part of this dynasty. Well, he came in, it was Suggs and Bickham, Giovanni Bickham playing at Denver. Then Jalen took over the mantle, and Chet Holmgren, he blossomed into the player he is. We can't see him tonight, unfortunately. Prince Aligbe. I can't wait to see what the Millers do now that they're at Minnehaha.
Yeah.
And you've got football crossovers that want to ride it out. So with all the talk about specialization and at the lower levels, folks, skipping games or skipping teams to avoid getting hurt, these guys, as number 23 is at the line, that
23 is Trent Finney.
Trent Finney. These guys, they've got each other's back. I think they understand how special this run of theirs is and how
Great
they
pass.
are part of the conversation. Fahad Omar can't get his fourth three-pointer. And even if you don't win state, you can attest to this with the times you made state for Tartan or the time you brought North St. Paul to state this year. When you are part of something special like that, when you get to a place you've never been to before or add to the history as Minnehaha has done, you're going to look back on that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're going to look back on it for the rest of your life. It's something that definitely can't be duplicated.
Isaiah Davis scores 69-38.
An elite group that goes. Just a reminder to everybody. Oh, there's my guy, Omar.
That's his 4th three-pointer.
Just a reminder to everybody playing that it's this one opportunity and you'll never regret pushing yourself harder.
And whether you've won 3 in a row like Minnehaha has, or you get a team to state for the first time in a sport as you did with North St. Paul volleyball, to know that you're a part of it, these players, I think it's cool because they all can say we helped build the program up, or in the case of Minnehaha, we helped continue its legacy.
Yeah. Continue its legacy, pave the way for the younger kids. I mean, the thing that sometimes players don't realize is there's a whole crop of youngsters looking up to them. And your attitude, your effort, everything you do sets the tone for the program. It's more impactful than just the few years that you're there. This game or that game.
Did you get that at Tartan when you made state? You had kids coming up and saying, I want to be the next Stephanie Blanda?
I think a few of them wrote that in my yearbook. Nice steal.
That's Noah Coble, number 11. We're seeing a lot of the reserves come in now. So the play, maybe not as fluid, but Minnehaha, they know we've got this in the bag. We don't need to risk the health of our starters at this point. Rebound put back by Brady Helgren. That gets him up to 14. And Edina, again, it's tough going into a matchup like this without your top player in Jacob Hudson.
Ooh.
A delayed alley-oop, but
there's a little
still
hang time
good for
on
2
that
points.
thing.
Yes. Three on the way for Edina. Replay on. And here come the Redhawks. Up and in. Oh, I thought it was going in. Everything else seems to be down low. Chase Carter missed. Grant Tolley scores. Well, Edina, they're playing their butts off. And as I reflect more...
Good effort. This has been a fast-paced, aggressive game.
Well, Edina, they're still going to go out there and play because they've got a tough Lake Conference to get through.
Who's that? Tell me who that is.
Peasy. I'm thinking... I have no idea who Peasy is.
I'm looking on the...
I don't see a Peasy.
I hope they put Peasy and someone in know who it is. Oh, come on now.
Maybe we'll find out. 72-45. But I think on the history subject you brought up,
yeah,
as we have a timeout here at 4:37, which gives me a chance to elaborate. Well, take your success, for instance, with Tartan, a school that didn't have a lot of history, and your success in volleyball and basketball, help build a legacy for your buddy Jesse Stomsky, who played at Wisconsin.
Well, hey, now, she was really only like a year behind me.
Right. Well, I'm saying the two of you helped build up that program.
Oh, but there were a lot of people before us who
right.
did, and we were lucky because I never had to experience otherwise, but I always had a group of people around me who were hardcore, wanted to play, wanted to compete, wanted to push themselves. Never slacked off in practice. Loved the game. We're out there to win. Just really enjoyed it. And when you have a group of people like that around you, you're on the up and up. We had really good coaches who were motivating in many ways. And it's like an established family. Everything, your environment is really influences you.
Steal by Prestis.
Nice
He'll
steal.
take it home. And on your point about coaching and stability, Lance Johnson, a longtime figure as the head coach for Minnehaha. Peter Hamburg, he's been an assistant for a long time. Chandler Sentel has been with this program for a long time.
Yeah.
So that allows you to build up chemistry. And you've been at North St. Paul for several years now.
It allows you to build up chemistry, but I think also a huge component of all this is nowadays everybody's playing for a club or AAU team. And it took me a minute to kind of realize this, but you need to start developing relationships with the girls' coaches on those teams as well and checking it out. It all, the more that you're kind of a little bit integrated, it helps because they're spending a lot of their time doing that too. And I think that there's a huge connection here on this Minnehaha team with the integration of where a lot of them play AAU and that feeling like the family is together during the school season, during the club season, outside of that.
Sam Gonzalez knocked down both free throws. And Edina staying with it.
Pass.
Brady Helgren, he's had a nice game tonight. He's up to 16 points, even though
Yeah, he's
Edina
really
will come
been
up
holding
short.
his own down there.
And again, with Jacob Hudson, who knows what difference that would have made, but you still got to get out there and play your games. Edina 2 of 4, Minnehaha 15 of 21. That is more an indicator of Minnehaha's athleticism and that first step of theirs.
Yeah, they do look a little more polished on the athleticism front.
And Edina, again, Jacob Hudson came back, but they graduated their top scorer last year in Jacob Middleton. He was good for over 20 a game, and that makes a big difference.
That does make a huge difference when you're missing one of your
We'll take Apple
top
Valley,
scorers.
for example, when the Jones brothers left. Apple Valley hasn't recaptured the throne like they once held when the Jones brothers were there.
Ooh.
And it's difficult, especially in high school, because you always are dealing with graduating kids, as you noted, because of club, AAU, and transfers that go on. You've got to work a little bit harder to build and maintain those relationships. When
we don't have as many
Right.
transfers.
I'm not saying you specifically,
No,
but
I know. And so I'm not it's interesting to me that there seem to be quite a few transfers, and that does play a piece. I'm not used to it is what I'm saying, but that is, you're right, that is a big piece for some of these schools.
more than it used to be.
Yeah.
The high school league put in a transfer rule that's similar to the NCAA, but when you get coaching changes, sometimes you don't have the right fit. You see families sometimes move districts to ensure that their offspring, their kids, don't lose any eligibility.
Right.
Brady Helgren shooting free throws, knocks down both, and brings them up to 18. So limited minutes out of Jalen Suggs. He did not play last night as he's working his way back from the flu. Chet Holmgren not with the team tonight as he hopefully recovers from his illness.
Pretty sick. He's not even here.
Nick Parton scoring. And everyone who has taken the floor for the Redhawks have scored. Edina looking to add 3 more, and they will. Noah Coble. So limited minutes out of Jalen. Gonzalez with the runner.
Yeah, Gonzalez.
But another showcase of why Minnehaha is one of the most talked about teams this year.
A little overpass on that one.
I know there was the Star Tribune story that a lot of the coaches felt was premature when the Strib, the writer, suggested the Redhawks is one of the best teams ever in the state. And
Did they lose after that?
Well, not long after that, Cretin-Derham Hall beat them.
Right.
But remember, the teams they're playing, their losses came against Cretin-Derham Hall and Hopkins, 2 teams who have just as much talent. And the Redhawks coaching staff,
So
from what I've seen,
aggression in the paint here. Yeah.
Percy Miller, the patriarch
Ooh, get it
of Minnehaha's new arrivals, exhibits the same philosophy. Don't worry about the hype, just play your game, treat every game like it's a big one. And as you've seen, there are a lot of good, a lot of talented boys teams out there. We were discussing it earlier in 2A, 3A, 4A. The parity is just insane. So I get it. They say a better description would be that this Redhawks team is the most recognized in school history, but to say they're the best ever, they felt, kind of throw shade at some of the other teams who have built up illustrious programs.
They're great, don't get me wrong, but I would say, lean in a little more toward most recognized. There's definitely a different flavor to their game.
Well, they certainly have brought a lot of exposure to this school.
Well, to the school and just to Minnesota. I mean,
Right.
you're not
You
going to
beat
get
Sierra
anybody.
Canyon on ESPN.
Right, and people didn't think that would happen.
Nope, but it did.
He's got his 3 dance down.
Trent Finney with the 3 for the Redhawks.
Ooh.
But you were saying national recognition. You go up against a team that was in the top 10 nationally and beat him by 20. Sam Gonzalez with 8 off the bench.
Putting that down with 2 on him.
So around here, we all know what they're capable of. And then last weekend, everyone knew what they were capable of.
Yeah.
Redhawks with a runaway 85-57 wire-to-wire win. Stephanie, even without one of their big names in Chet Holmgren, seeing what Minnehaha can do is fun to watch. And whatever happens in the 3A state tournaments, I'm just glad you and I get to go along for the ride.
Beep, beep, Mike.
Well,
Hey, you know
yes.
what? Let's commend Edina for a well-played, aggressive game on their part. They kept going, even with that huge margin.
They did, 85-57. Jalen Suggs leading the Redhawks with 18 points. Brady Helgren leading the Hornets with 18 points. And you know, Edina, every other team, they're going to give Minnehaha their best shots. And for the Hornets, it's just another quality test that could hopefully help them as they continue in the Lake and in Section 2.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun season to keep watching. How many more of these games are you covering?
Well, I don't know. How many you want to call with me? No?
Let me check my calendar here.
Well, on the Minnehaha side, I know I'll be doing the De La Salle doubleheader. That one will be held here. Should be a packed house like last year.
Yeah.
St. Peter should be a good doubleheader. Minnehaha, take your pick. There are no bad matchups on the schedule this year.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
85-57 is the final, and that does it here from the Bergstrom Court. For Stephanie Blanda and the rest of our crew, I'm Mike Peden. Thank you for watching High School Boys Basketball.